Okay, that should be working. Don't really need the transcription. Okay. All right. So thanks everyone for hopping on. This is Danny. He's the owner with Laura, Danny and Laura Timmerman of the Stansbury Park, Utah store. You guys can have your cameras on, keep yourselves muted. Danny will kind of go over what his experience has been like with this store, go over frequently asked questions that he gets, and then we can open it up to questions afterwards, or it can be more of a conversation. But Danny, I'll just kind of let you run this and take it wherever you want to take it.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm not necessarily a well-spoken person. So if I miss something or you guys have questions, please interrupt me. So Laura and I, we started this journey about 6 years ago. Um, we love FiiZ. We always liked going there, getting drinks. Um, we moved to an area where there was no FiiZ, and so we were like bound and determined to get a FiiZ going. Um, Hold on 1 second. I'm so sorry. Did I just? Okay. Hopefully I didn't just tie someone into our thing. I think I muted them. Anyway,
Okay.
um, we opened up December 2018, and before we did it, my wife doesn't do anything halfway, and so she was bound and determined to do extra training. So she decided, because our kids, I think they were just starting to go into school, she decided to go to Bountiful, which was our corporate like headquarter FiiZ for a long time. That's where we were going to go and train. And then I would do my job, and then I would drive to Bountiful after, and we would train. So my wife and I were basically just trained as, regular employees. We didn't have all the cool things that FiiZ has now with training and onboarding and following the letter of how things go. But anyway, we opened our store and we just hit the ground running right off the bat. Really good experience. I think what was really awesome for me that I didn't realize until later was we weren't like we owned a couple little small businesses, but they were like me and her were the only employees. So to kind of open it up and have several employees was a whole new experience for me. And at the time we were having major imposter syndrome, but we learned as we went, and we learned some really awesome things, grew as people. Probably the biggest benefit for me, other than making money, of course, was being a part of other people's lives, the employees. A lot of times these jobs are like employees that's going to be their first job or one of their first jobs, and it's scary, especially with the way social media is, and where a lot of people don't associate face to face with COVID happening and everything. So we were having employees that would just get on and sorry, it's going again, but we'd have employees get on and they wouldn't even know how to talk to people, and so we had to kind of help people from the get-go. Anyway, we've been doing it for a long time, and we've learned a lot, and FiiZ has honestly come an extremely long way since when we started. And not to toot our own horn, but I think Laura had a lot to do with that, because she could see that there weren't processes and procedures back then that we need to more streamline to a bigger growing brand. So a lot of the stuff that you guys probably see, and we've worked out kinks over the years. So as far as I don't know, like what kind of questions you guys have. I'm sorry, just kind of telling you a little bit of the history.
How many locations are you up to?
So the FiiZ franchise has been going for how long?
So and maybe Justin would be better qualified, but like we've owned up to 2 stores. We only own 1 currently, but I want to say there's about 55 locations. I could be wrong on that, and I believe they all started in 2014.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
there's more. There's about like 67.
oh, so sorry.
All right.
I
But
think I
Danny,
remember.
and then I guess it technically it started like December of 2020 or 2013.
Oh, okay.
The customer base, was it easy to get the customer to come in, or did you have to do some major marketing or do that?
So and again, Jessica, chime in. So for us, it was nice because the brand was already known. The concept was already known. We've found we get mixed. I've seen or heard of mixed reviews. Like some locations out of state just hit the ground running. People are like, we've been waiting for this. We know the concept. We understand it. They love it. And then there's other places I think they're like, we don't quite understand what it is because there hasn't been a big press to like advertise and help people understand. Like they just don't get it. But like we've we've had like a lot of places like I've heard of like Washington and I want to say like Arizona, Vegas, those kind of areas, or not Vegas, but just kind of in the general vicinity where they knew the concept and uh, it wasn't the advertising didn't have to be focused on like what is FiiZ. It was more like, hey, we're here, let's advertise, like, hey, let's get you guys in the door. Whereas other places I feel like it's like, I don't understand the concept, explain that to me. So I guess it just depends where you're at.
Danny, is there, and this is Shanif Merchant, is there a dominant customer, demographic group that you would say it's just that demographic really outside of that it's very minimal, or is it more broad and more diverse as to who's coming into FiiZ?
Yeah, so I can speak for what I know. Like I don't work for a corporate FiiZ. I just own my location. Um, so a lot of it seems like it's a lot of moms that like to go through the drive-through. If I had to guess, I don't have statistics, but I would probably say like 75% of our customers are women with uh, children in the home or families in the home, family people. Um, I, uh, I did, so I can speak to this a little bit. I'm probably over explaining, or I hope I'm not muddying the water. In Stansbury Park, it's a very it's basically like a family home community where it's like people commute to Salt Lake City and then they go back, drive home to Stansbury. So it's just really family oriented, lots of families. And so we see lots of kids, lots of moms during the day, lots of teenagers during the day, because they're in school or they just got out of school and they want to FiiZ. And then like our Sandy location, we only owned it for a little while, but we had a lot of people that just wanted soda water and lemon so they could put other they do whatever later. I'd say the demographic was um, more family oriented in Stansbury Park and more like teenagers and young adults and things like that in Sandy. So that's definitely something I would consider when you're going to certain areas.
Do you see yourself getting to more FiiZ locations, or is there something uh, you would say, no, I'm not going to scale up? Like, is any reason for you not to scale up beyond the
So yes, so the dream was that we would get several FiiZ locations and then me and my wife would roll off into the sunset just having FiiZ locations. So we started that process, but in the meantime, my job is like, oh, by the way, we're going to promote you and pay you double. And then my wife, so so my wife was kind of, she didn't work for FiiZ at all, so she just wrote kind of her own processes and procedures, and then FiiZ hired her freelance, and then we
Oh.
started saying, oh, hey, we want you part-time. Hey, we want you twice a week. Hey, we want you full-time now. Not only do we want you full-time, we want you in the office and we want you to travel. And so my job, my main job, and then my wife's main job were just too big to walk away from. And so we ended up selling our Sandy location because 2 full-time jobs and 2 full-time locations doesn't work. So, that other than that, the dream and the plan was to keep going and keep expanding. And I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it if things changed in my line of work. Like if I, heaven forbid I lost my job or whatever, like I would probably start looking at FiiZ probably first for my new, my new ventures and things. So, but as of it right now, I'm kind of, we're a little strung out, if anything, right now.
Interesting.
So.
Got it. Well, that makes sense. Thank you.
Hey, Danny, there's a question in the chat, and I'll try to keep the chat up to date.
I can't hear you, but I'm gonna look at the chat.
I think there's how many employees work.
Yeah. If you can hear me, usually we do rotate 2 times. We have during slow times, I've seen us have as few as 3. When we were our Sandy location, we would get down to 2 in some situations. But usually in Stansbury Park, we usually have about 4. On Saturdays and like afternoons, we usually have closer to 5 at a time. Having 2 at a time is great because that's less wages, but you got people, somebody answering the headset, making the drinks, taking the money, and so it takes people that are diligent and then can work at a fast pace. But yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Hi, Danny, do you have any managers on site?
We do. We have, so my wife is the unofficial manager. She's kind of a perfectionist, and so she doesn't trust anyone to do how well she does her job. So we technically do have a manager. Her name's Rachel, and she's in charge of like ordering the supplies. We used to put her in charge of scheduling employees, but now Laura does that. And she's also responsible for like little things here and there. If there's any little problems, she reaches out to vendors and things like that. And then we also have an assistant manager that just backs her up. Oh, hey, Eric. I think you're on mute.
Nope, you're in mute again.
Am I on now? Okay, sorry about that. I'm getting used to the software here. So you mentioned your wife was kind of like the acting manager somewhat. How many hours a week does she work in the shop?
That is such a good question. So in store, when it's just a normal, typical week, there's no training or anything happening. She will usually just stop by and get on her laptop and just do her work for her other job. And so in store, I would say she's probably there. She goes in like 3 times a week for like an hour just to check on things. If she tells me something a little different, I'm just going off of what I recall. When there's like a staffing issue or something to that effect, or she's hiring someone that my manager's not hiring, like she'll step in and do a 15-minute interview. Or the cool thing is we live 5 minutes away from our location, so she likes to just go there and hang out. But like necessity needing her there, she's not really needed there because of the managers, but she does, however, like I do payroll stuff, and then she does some of the scheduling, things like that. So that takes her a certain amount of time. she does go above and beyond. Like she likes to laminate things and she likes to hang things up in the store, make sure, she always works with, the headquarters, and she puts in a lot more time than she needs to.
So it's a lot of like behind the scenes stuff and like admin office related, right? Like she's not really working shifts then, right?
Nope, nope. The only time we've had to do that, and it hasn't been for a long time, once we've got a pretty big employee base, and so when there is like a call in sick kind of thing, there's always somebody to help cover. During COVID, there were a few times where it's like somebody got COVID, and it's like, okay, well, we have no other options. My wife needs to go in, but that's because she made herself very accessible. But now she makes herself less accessible, and so people don't even like ask her to do it. And so in all honesty, she doesn't ever have to go there, but we usually pop in on Sunday. We're closed on Sunday. Locations, I think, have the option. I think they recommend open on Sunday. It just depends on your. I don't know what FiiZ's stance on that is, Justin. I apologize if I'm speaking wrong, but we're closed on Sunday, and so we go in for like an hour every Sunday, and we just kind of balance our cash. We make sure that you know uh, check if there's any like video camera stuff we need to figure out, or electronics, but pretty basic stuff. Me personally, I probably spend an hour a week on FiiZ stuff, and I think if my wife was more typical, I think she would probably be 2 to 3 hours a week, in my opinion.
Danny, you made a mention, or you made a comment earlier, which kind of stuck to me, that if FiiZ as a concept is not known in the market that I'm trying to open, did I hear you clearly that in that mode when FiiZ is not a known concept, I think you referred to that there's not enough marketing FiiZ as a brand. Is that what you meant? That people then just don't know what FiiZ is and could be a problem to open sites that way?
What I was saying is that the focus would be
Mm,
less on like, hey, we're here, and I
yeah.
don't really have to tell you what FiiZ is. And the focus would need to be like, hey, this is FiiZ. This is what we do. This is why we're so cool. Things like that. I was saying that like when you think about what market you're going into, if you're going to go into, somewhere back east that's never seen a soda shop like Utah
Mm,
has, then you have to kind of help people understand what it
yeah.
is. It's like, and that's all I mean is just focusing your marketing strategy to that demographic and people. But like, I'll be honest with you, like Mormon communities like just seem to know what FiiZ is. Like, like Utah, that's why it's so you don't like when we were opening our FiiZ, we just put on the Facebook groups like, hey, FiiZ is coming to Stansbury Park, and then like 1,000 comments, everybody knows what it is. And then we had like 4 people say, oh, I don't know what it is, I don't understand. And then, let's say you're opening up out of state somewhere, maybe quite a ways away, it's going to be like, hey, we're FiiZ, this is what we do. And then showing pictures and showing people
Mhm,
making the
mhm.
drinks, things like that
Yeah,
is going to be more of a focus, where it was
got it.
just more organic.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Has there been any pushback of any sort? And I'm just trying to learn, quite honestly, but has there been any pushback that you're aware of where people may try to associate presence of soda to then, hey, that's not, you know, if there's any concern to health relate, like, health issues of saying, oh, I cannot consume soda, or my kids cannot consume soda. It's always been a lingering question in our house. I mean, I drink soda myself, so it's not me, but generally people would say, oh, watch out, any soda drink cannot be good for you. But has there been any such pushback for FiiZ that you're aware of at, on the ground, in the store, people come and say those kind of things, or?
Honestly, I thought there would be, and I've
Yeah.
not seen anything like that.
Okay.
I mean, I make jokes. It's like, oh, hey, these dentists should invest in FiiZ because, then they're going to get more work, just jokingly, and, but honestly, I mean, there always is those one-off people that like, I don't understand why you guys drink soda. Like, how can you do that? But but the general population, I think a lot of people drink a lot of soda. The one thing, the one thing I've noticed, I don't know how familiar you guys are with FiiZ, but like when I moved and there wasn't a FiiZ around, I started going to like a gas station to get my soda, and I realized how bougie I was with my soda, and I honestly couldn't like I couldn't do it. I'm like, I can't drink this so, because I need FiiZ. But the cool thing is there are waters, there are diet drinks, there's sugar free. We offer a lot more sugar free options, I think, than anyone else does. I could be wrong, but I think so. We have a whole rail of sugar free. Um, anything, of course, we got caffeine free products, things like that. Um, I don't know. We do offer, I don't know if every FiiZ does this, but we do offer coffee options too. So I mean, I don't think caffeine's an issue. I think sometimes people get hung up on sugar,
Sure. Yeah.
or the carbonated, but
Mhm.
to answer your question, I'm sorry, I don't have a great answer, but for us, it's been pretty much a non-issue.
Great. Great. Good to know.
Hey, can I ask another question? Just following up on the marketing question. So, as a
Mhm.
corporation, what kind of marketing does FiiZ do, like in a new market outside of Utah on the East Coast? Is that only the operators of the individual franchises out there that are responsible for their marketing, or is FiiZ as a corporate entity come in and help try to get the market started?
Justin, I don't know if you want to. I don't know if I know how to answer that one because we were kind of old school from a while ago, so I don't know.
Yeah, you can kind of talk about your experience with it and how much corporate has helped with marketing. Um,
Oh yeah,
it's
sure.
it's definitely a big push right now, and we've got a lot of great things coming down the pipeline. But yeah, maybe just talk about what your experience has been like with it.
Okay. Okay, great. Yeah. So when we first started, again, I got to relate it to my store. When we first started, we were basically like, if you like this idea, kind of make your own graphic and we'll approve it. There was no real marketing department. Um, they have marketing now. So like if we need something, like we want to promote our tumblers, um, we just go have them. They already have a graphic for it. We get it printed, and honestly, our Tumblr sales go up. Like if we're trying to push certain things, like the other thing too, like anything you want. I've heard of other stores not taking advantage of the marketing capabilities that FiiZ has. And it's really kind of sad because like we do take advantage of it. Like it I want to say one time my wife's like, we want to do t-shirts, or we want to do stickers. This is kind of what we're thinking. And then marketing gets back to her and says, what do you think of this? And they're just like awesome because these people do it for a living. And so I think the big key with marketing is you have to ask. You have to utilize the resources you do have because other stores are like, we're just going to do our own thing, and it's just like, first of all, you're not supposed to just like make up some random thing where it's not brand approved, and secondly, it's like it's not going to be as high quality and things like that. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered your question on that, but from what I've heard, what I've experienced, anything marketing materials wise, it's like they're just waiting for them to help you out. Like you kind of need to. I would say they work hand in hand, and I don't know if that's going to be Laura's or your an FBC kind of a person that's over your store to help you coordinate things, but like you need to kind of say what your needs are, and then marketing and you will come up with a game plan. It's like, hey, let's send a mailer out for your first anniversary, or let's send a blast, a geolocated marketing blast to social media in your area. And those things were not available, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. And it's really cool how those tools work and how they can show um, I don't want to know the word statistics or whatever the
Analytics.
how much the metrics, how your sales increase. Like if we're having a hard time selling pretzels or something, or pretzel bites, I mean, it's like we're only selling like 10 things of pretzel bites a day, and then we do a marketing blast, it's like they just tripled, and then they sustain at a higher level later. So that's all stuff that different locations, I don't think everyone's taking advantage of, but of course we are. So
Can you tell me a little bit about your revenues and your net profit, what you do in a month, and how is that working for you?
Yeah.
yes, so obviously I'm not signing like non-disclosure agreements with you guys, but I can give you some rough ideas. So I'm not I'm an accounting person, but let me think here. The problem with me telling you guys numbers is every location's different and everything like that, but I just gotta be careful like on what I say, because I don't want to. I say we were probably all said and done profits. We're hitting about $10,000 average. Sometimes it's a little less, sometimes it's more, of end of the day into our profits every month. There were a couple years, like after the height of COVID, we were letting other people do our scheduling, not my wife, and we were overstaffing. And it's amazing, like if you're not watching things closely, how that 10,000 can go down to 5 or 4, and
Yeah.
and and then there's some months where you have your taxes are doing all this one month, but your average, that's kind of our average. We are I'd say we are fairly successful store. You could be a lot higher than that, it could be lower. I just without like telling you exact numbers, I don't want to be too too exact there. So
Danny, how about, actually, no, that was a great question because my question was along the same lines. But if I just go back and say, on an average, just rough number, if you were to say that if a person walks into the store, what is the average ticket number in terms of how, right, how many dollars are being spent on an average on a transaction, roughly?
yeah, and again, our two locations were a little different. Our Stansbury Park location, I want to say our average ticket is around $7.50. Where the our Sandy location was like 6 or 6.5. So
Got it. Okay.
Can I jump in for a second here? So you were saying that your if I got this right, your daily sales from the one store was about 10,000. Is that correct?
oh no, oh, I'm so sorry if I misunderstood. Like our monthly profits.
Oh, that was
all
monthly?
said and done. Yeah,
Okay, so
$10,000. I'm not saying sales, I'm saying profit.
oh, gotcha. Okay. So do you know roughly like what your COGS percentages are or your labor percents are?
Oh my gosh, I did it one time. I want to say our COGS were 35%. I hope that's right. That's just what comes to my mind.
Yeah.
Our labor, I cannot remember. I did know, like I had all these numbers, but I have an accountant because I don't like dealing with the numbers. But I do meet with my accountant every month, and we go over everything and we look at what our profits were over the last month. And so that's what always sticks on my mind. I kind of glaze over everything and I'm like, okay, our profits were this, so that's good. So
And are those profit figures after you pay, like your wife takes a salary, right? So that's after
yep,
she's
they
paying
are.
herself?
Yeah, that's after she's paying herself. Yeah. So
Okay.
I don't think that my accountant puts that on another line item and adds it in. I'm pretty sure they're all separate. Yeah, that's just a separate whole thing.
Okay, and then do you have an idea of what your gross sales are monthly?
Yes, ours are, I want to say, right around 70 to 80,000 a month.
Okay.
Sometimes, yeah, I mean they've dipped sometimes to 60s, and then sometimes I mean we've had some 80s, but I think that's pretty average.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So I had this booked just for half an hour. Danny, you can obviously keep going if you want, or we can wrap things up since we're 3 minutes over.
Yeah, I mean I could take a couple more questions if you guys had any. Um, yeah, if anyone wants to reach out to me, or want to do another team meeting, I'm open to that. If you guys have any more questions, or if you have any more now, um, I will say at the beginning I was telling you kind of about my career, my work, and so when I started out, I was like a sales desk guy. I was making very little money, and then we opened our FiiZ. My work, I actually probably doubled my income from my work. And then my wife, she was always like, I'll just run FiiZ and be good. And now her corporate headquarters wants her full time, and she's amazing. So of course they want her, and she makes good money. Um, and that being said, we are thinking about, we have not advertised it. We tried advertising it at one point because um, we're wanting to put our feelers out there, but we are looking to sell our Stansbury Park location. It's a profitable location. There's no reason why we're selling it other than my wife is just like a little overwhelmed with having her full-time job and having a full-time business. The reason it's overwhelming is because she won't do anything half-wittedly, and she just doesn't lean on her managers enough. She just likes to do things and handle things herself. So anyway, we are thinking about I didn't want to like advertise it on Craigslist or KSL or whatever, or because it's weird that like my wife works for corporate and then she she's selling her location. And so anyway, it's a unique situation. But if any of you guys are um, wanting more of a turnkey option, or rather than building from the ground up, or if you're thinking about Utah rather than wherever else you guys are thinking, that's a conversation we could have. So but yeah, it's really a turnkey, ready to go. It's profitable. We could do an NDA and I could show you the numbers, but only if you guys are like serious about that kind of stuff. So anyway, I hope that was appropriate to say. I don't want to like detract from what purpose is. So but I wanted to throw that plug out there.
Okay.
So
All right. Thank
any more questions?
Yeah, hey, I just a quick question since you brought up you were potentially selling your Stansbury store, and you previously sold a store in Sandy. Can you talk about what that was like briefly, like how you marketed that? And
Yeah, so I had a couple mental breakdowns during that period because again, my wife was full-time, I was full-time. We opened this store. We're like, great, we're gonna get 3 more after this. And the whole thing with Sandy was it was just a remodel. We had to like build walls, we had to repaint, run wires, and I was dumb and I decided I'm just gonna do this all myself. And it was overwhelming. Our staff was not trained the way that my wife likes them trained. And you know, it was during COVID, and so people were using the lobby as their personal like office. And so we came in and we let go of a few people, and we ended up losing a lot of people because we found out they were trying to steal from us. Um, they were basically giving their friends free product, which we figured out a way to prevent that. And a lot of people just kind of left because I think they felt guilty. Anyway, we basically retrained an entire staff of 20. I think we had like 18 people, and my wife and I were working there every day. So I would go there in the nighttime, and then my wife would show up in the day, and we basically had zero relationship. And then we're just like, this, money's not worth it at this point because we just we can't have our FiiZ location in Stansbury Park, our 2 full-time jobs, and then run another one the way you want it ran, So we did sell it. We did, we sold it for a little bit of a profit, and yeah, that's the rest is history.
Yeah, where did you find that buyer to buy that?
Good question. I think they reached my I think I reached out to a gentleman that owned another location that wanted another one. So I just reached out to him on the side, because here's the thing. Here's another reason why we're not advertising this one, is because my wife has major mixed feelings about it. She loves it. Like, it's like her identity now. She, like, thinking about the idea of selling it makes her cry, but at the same time she's like, I just need to pick one, either my corporate job or my or my location. And so anyway, that's why we just have not advertised. And this would probably be a good opportunity, people that are looking, that are interested in buying, to give you another option. Maybe not might not fit what you guys want to do, but just another avenue if it's something you're interested in. So
Hey, thanks a lot, Danny.
yeah. Okay, thank you guys. Thanks, Justin. See you.
Yeah, and I don't think that's it's not appropriate. Like, I think it's appropriate to say, I think every one of you that are looking at purchasing a FiiZ, you got to always have an idea of what the exit's going to be. And that can be very personal, but it's definitely something to think about when you're thinking long term. So thanks, Danny, for your time, and appreciate you doing this and answering all these questions. It's been great. There's a lot of these questions I can't answer in any way. So so it helps a lot to have a franchisee come on and help answer more of these questions more in depth than what I can legally get into, especially about specific stores.
Yeah,
And
thanks again.
And I will say it has been the most wonderful experience for me overall. Like, given me, I don't know, you guys may already own businesses and stuff like that, but like it's been empowering. It's been probably the most rewarding thing for me, and it is kind of mushy, but like being involved in somebody else's life, to see them develop from scared of talking to somebody to like a rock star that's going to, go on and do something greater with their lives. They're not going to work in fast food their whole life, but to me, it's more than, just the money thing. But the money's nice, of course. It's allowed us to do a lot of things that we haven't been able to do. But anyway, that little thing at the end. So all right, I'll talk to you later. Thank you, Justin. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Danny.